Welcome to Fondy Famous. I'm your host, Kelly Northley with eXp Realty. Today is another segment of Mortgage Mondays with Stephanie Core. Yeah. She and I are here to talk about kind of the basics of what it takes to get into purchasing a home or a property for you. So.
Yes. Well, thank you again for having me on the Mortgage Mondays. Love sharing some of this information to home buyers, first home buyers, or if you're moving up. It's never a bad opportunity to learn a little more about the process and the market and where to get started. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is really where we're going to get started. Right, Kelly?
Yep. Yeah. When you go to purchase a home, a lot of people don't know the first steps, and that's okay. Like, no one taught us that, right? Absolutely. There wasn't a class in high school.
No.
I didn't see anything in college on the boards or anything that you learn how to purchase a house or buy and sell real estate. And so we just want to teach people exactly what to do to get started. So when people come to me, I typically send them to a lender first to see what we're going to be able to purchase, our buying power, things like that. So I'm going to let you take over and explain the first steps of figuring out if you can get a mortgage and all of that.
Yes, well, thank you. So really the first steps is having that conversation about what your goals are. We usually start with some purchase price range desires. You've probably already started looking at homes online, started contacting your realtor, and then taking a look at, that financial qualification. So when you come to me, that's kind of where we start, is where are your goals and desires. So we kind of list out, what you have in mind, and then we take a look at your application information. So really the first official step is to get your basic information in my hands so that we can do a credit review and a document review. So that would just entail, giving us like your social security number, your birthday, your basic information about your residence history and employment history for the past 2 years. And after we put all of that information together, we'll do a document review. So Kelly, as a self-employed person, right, we have some more documents that may or may not apply to you depending on your situation, but your basic documents are going to be your pay stubs, your bank statements, your W-2s, and we put that information together to verify your income.
And this isn't a long process either. Getting pre-approved and getting that original, what we think we can purchase, and having those conversations, it honestly, the application maybe will take you 30 minutes, depending on where you have to go digging for information. And then the process, typically around a day or so.
Exactly. It can be a very quick process. Usually if you're doing an online application, you can put your information in about 15, 20 minutes, and then you go and get your documents together, which shouldn't take too long. Once we have that, I can get those items reviewed, and if there's not any red flags or things that we have to look at a little deeper, we can get that pre-approval to you typically the same day.
Yep. I think the biggest thing to know is be honest with your lender and your agent about things going on. We get it. We're humans. We have real life things happening too. Don't let there be a surprise, like a surprise outstanding bill. If you know about these things ahead of time, just let them know. Or if you see a house and you see it online and you're looking at the numbers, contact your agent, contact your lender. Those numbers typically are skewed. I hate saying that, but it is what it is, and we want you to get accurate information. So.
Oh, exactly. That is definitely the whole point of talking with the professionals here that are local and they know the market. So those numbers that you are looking at online typically are conventional financing with at least 20% down, excellent credit.
Low interest rate.
Right. Low interest rate that may or may not be available to you in today's market. So those numbers are quite skewed at times, and it can be a little disappointing to look at, one house, start falling in love with it, and realize the numbers might not fit into your budget. And really the point of the application and qualifying for financing is taking a look at that budget. So having an idea of what you're paying for housing now can help you kind of estimate what that mortgage payment is and what would be comfortable in that budget. Because we're looking at that debt to income ratio. However, those ratios that are set by the loan program guidelines may not coincide with your personal finances and budget.
She was talking about how we're looking at payments and making sure that fits within your budget, what you're going to fall into with the financing and things like that. But another thing that people don't realize to talk about in payments is maybe what the repair costs or home maintenance is going to cost, because now you're taking on a mortgage and you're no longer renting. You have to assume that any issue that comes up is going to be your financial burden, good or bad. But things that come up are like the hot water heater going out,
Right.
Minor repairs and things. But those can be a couple $100 a month, so you want to go in and know if you're purchasing an older home, you may need to budget for a little bit higher of repairs, or if you're going into a newer home, you may have less repairs to budget for in the first few years and some warranties that'll cover you. So what can you afford as far as payment goes, but then what can you also afford as far as repairs, and looking at the houses to make sure that those two match and coincide so that you're not paying too much.
Right.
So,
and any home will still have yearly maintenance on the furnace, the water heaters, it's
salt for the water softener, you don't
yes,
think of that?
Yes. And snow removal, lawn care. Are you going to be doing it?
Yeah.
Right. Are you going to do it yourself? Then you have to invest in some machinery and some equipment, or do you contract that out to a local business? So some of those items are just really good to take a look at to be prepared for the long term.
That is one thing we did when we moved back. We had to get us a little plow, so we got a 4-wheel with the plow attachment.
Sure.
10 out of 10 recommend it, but if you have a driveway, you have to think of that. We just went out and had to buy a freaking plow, or we would have realistically had to pay someone to plow our driveway, which is a couple $100 a month.
Oh,
absolutely.
And
so,
and I live a little more rural area. We have a plow truck and a tractor. It took us 3 days, to dig out that big snowstorm that we had in January. And, that time for someone else to do that would have been quite costly.
Quite costly, probably for you. No, thank you. Yeah, I'll take the couple hundred it would be if we had to pay someone. My goodness. But all things that you have to think about when you're looking to purchase a home. And if you are purchasing from a different area, you have to have that conversation. What other things come with this weather? Like, we just moved from Mississippi. We wouldn't have to worry about some of these things, mostly. Whereas here you would have to. So what those differences look like and budgeting for that. So.
And one thing with your mortgage payment, the amount that you pay back towards your loan with the principal and interest, that amount will never change as long as you have your loan in good standing. The insurance and the real estate taxes that you're escrowing for, now those can change every year as your insurance premium renews and your new taxes are reassessed. So there's actually an escrow analysis that typically gets done in the spring. Your monthly payment may change a little bit depending if those items went up or down to make sure you're collecting enough for next year's payment. Yep,
and unfortunately they typically don't go down. They more often than not go up. So again, that comes down to making sure that you're pricing yourself at a point that you not only are comfortable paying now, but know that you can pay if it goes up a little bit, have that buffer in there. So
exactly. And talking about a buffer, most people don't realize to set aside a little savings plan for those types of things, because emergencies happen. Every homeowner can tell you some type of story of when the furnace went out and, negative 20-degree weather.
Close, or was it, 2 years after?
Right.
You never know.
Right, exactly. So there's always some type of things like that, and making sure that's in your monthly budget to estimate and prepare for those items is really important to make sure that you're successful and, you continue to do the things financially that you're wanting to do.
Yep. I have an example of a client that I was actually just talking to Stephanie about. They purchased a home that was a little bit older, and before they did, we had the conversation of what that looks like, and I had suggested that they maybe spend a little bit more. Now, you have to make the best decision for yourselves, so this was just something that I thought they should look at as an option, but that they look at a home that was a new build but cost a little bit more, but wouldn't have those initial hot water heater expenses or air conditioning things that would be going out. So we had that conversation. They decided to go with the older home that was a lesser payment. Absolutely understand. But then a little while later they called me, and I think it was the hot water heater that had gone out, and that was a couple grand, I do believe. And so they didn't really have that. They had to figure out a payment plan. Thankfully they did, but if they would have gotten the newer home, they wouldn't have had to worry about that, and they would have had that cushion for just a little bit longer. The payment would have been a little bit higher, but in the long run, I think it would have been a little bit better for their financial situation. But again, I can't speak on what would work for them, but things like that are just things you need to consider. You just Do you want to spend and get a newer home and know that there's going to be less things that go wrong? You could get a new or an old home that nothing goes wrong for years, but at the same time, there's the higher risk of needing some things done to it. So
Correct.
just going back and comparing.
Right. So I think it's all about knowing what you are comfortable with.
Yep.
We see a lot of TV programs and things, fixing up these old homes into these gorgeous mansions, right?
Yep.
And, that is definitely a goal that we would love to help you with, but you have to be sure that you're able to take on a project like that, because
Yep.
it doesn't happen in the hour that the TV show, kind of shows. And there's
Probably not
a lot
for the
of
price either.
I can speak from personal experience of doing a flip project myself that, it took longer than we planned and a little over budget, but, in the end it did work out very well. So.
Yep. And that too, if you're looking at homes that need repairs and you're looking at doing escrows and things, that's a different conversation too, but
Right,
just
it
thing to
is.
consider.
Yeah, because some homes, we can take a look at getting the home purchased and then maybe doing a renovation loan after for some of those things. We have to work with a contractor when we're doing the financing pieces of it. However, you can make that dream home out of, something that is a little older type of thing.
Yeah. And when you originally start looking at houses and you are getting those numbers,
Yes.
you have that wish list that you have in mind, and you just kind of sit there, look at it, and make sure that all of that is realistic and matches to your budget, matches to what you're looking to get at, and then you can go out and find the perfect home, really.
Exactly. So, Kelly, when they're getting a budget from me and they're pre-approved and they kind of have that price range in mind, what do you ask when they're looking at that wish list?
Yep. I typically start asking the questions of exactly what they're looking for. So my first basic questions would be like, approximately what size of a home are you looking for? How much land do you want? That's a big question these days. Bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that. And then I start putting a search together for them. And it depends on the person and the conversations we've had. But sometimes I send that to them with no price range in mind and just let them look at it, see what's available in that, and let them then choose and, chat with you about what's going to work. Because unfortunately, so many times we see the aesthetic on like TikTok and see all the trends of, the new homes, and these beautiful new homes are costing $400, $500, and plus $1,000. Whereas realistically, first-time buyers are typically in that 200-ish.
So your first home may not be your forever home either. Many people get into their first home, stay a few years. I know I plan to be there about 2-3 years and then move out. But it took me about 7 or 8 to, kind of get to that place where I was ready to move up into my next property.
But that's such a great part of real estate, is that you're able to do that, right? You've lived in that home for a couple of years. You've probably done some improvements. You've added some value. And even sometimes if you've not, it just increases in value. You're able to sell it at a profit, take that into your next home. And of course, it depends on the market and how things are going. But oftentimes you can take that profit, put it into the next home, qualify for a different home, maybe a higher home loan or just a bigger home, whatever it is that you're looking for, and continue to grow that. Or on the flip side of things, you could do that as an investment. You purchase your first home, and typically that would make a great rental. Someone can come in, rent that home from you. You can use that rental income, purchase your next home, snowball that into there. And then, of course, that's when a lot of people start to really get into the investment portfolio building. So
Exactly. So once you own that home and you're building that wealth and that equity, there are a lot of options when you go to change your situation. You can either sell, use that equity as a bigger down payment towards your next home, maybe pay off debts to help your monthly budget just be a little more comfortable, or keep it as that rental property and get that residual income going, as we can use that rental income from your exit property, towards offsetting that mortgage payment. And now, of course, if you're in the market for duplexes, and even as a first-time home buyer, you could purchase a 2 to 4 unit property with the lower down payment requirements, since it's going to be your primary residence, and start using that rental income right away to offset that mortgage payment. So you can often qualify for a higher purchase price right from the get-go if we're looking at properties that have existing tenants.
And that's a really great way. Obviously, I was, near military base, but a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, but a handful of my clients had purchased like a duplex or fourplex or were interested or trying to do that. Then you're renting to some of your friends possibly, although be careful, make sure you have leases in place.
Always
but
have paperwork.
you're renting those things out. You already needed a place to stay. You're there for a few years. You then either go to sell it and make a profit, or you keep it and you really just build on your investment portfolio and you continue to do that.
Right.
And it makes a really great opportunity that wouldn't otherwise be there. So
Exactly.
excellent way to get started.
Right. So these are just a lot of things to think about when you are getting into buying a home. So everyone gets into that kind of mindset for different reasons. Maybe, you have to find a home just for housing for some reason. But, if you're already in a home or have a stable situation and kind of looking out, you can think about that long-term goal. Like, what do I want to do with my property? Do I just want to live in it and enjoy my place, or do I want to use it more as an investment tool to build that net worth?
Yep. And that just comes down to like, I'm a freakish goal planner. So that's like so satisfying to me. I'm like, now we're talking about 2-year plans, 3-year plans, 5-year goal plans and things like that. But it just comes down to like budgets and planning and being able to set all of those things up so that you're set up for success.
Exactly.
It may not be something that happens overnight, and typically it isn't, but you work hard at it and you make that a goal and you will get there. So
Right. And you can always reach out to local experts like us who are more than happy to share our knowledge and experiences with you on all, situations, because every home buying situation is different and unique. What you're looking for is not what your neighbor or your friend is going to be looking for exactly. So, it's nice to have those experts on your side helping you towards those specific goals in mind.
Yep. And even at the point where you're just asking questions and trying to plan for the future, I have clients who have reached out to me, years back talking about getting into rentals, and then they finally give me that call and they're ready to do it.
So exciting.
We're happy to answer questions. We want to help, with anything. So just give us a call.
Yes.
If you're looking to find Stephanie, you can find her at...
I'm on Facebook at Ram Team Fond du Lac, and you can reach me by text or phone call at 920-539-0834 anytime.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this again. And
thank you.
We'll do it again next month.
I'm so excited for next month. Join us for some more exciting information.
Yes. And tell us what you're looking to hear, too. We want to make these fun, exciting, and mortgages aren't always that way, but we want to answer the questions that you have. So please feel free to comment. Tell us what you're looking to learn about. So
yes, we would love that feedback for sure.
Very helpful. So thank you for watching.
Take care.